Hello, welcome to Business Live, the final edition for this week. Coming up tonight, energy expert reacts to construction of multi-billion-dollar LPG power plant to augment electricity supply in the country. Also coming up, National Petroleum Authority uncovers a fuel smuggling syndicate at the Tema Port. We'll hear from the CEO of the authority. Plus, economists at the University of Ghana says Ghana still at risk of assuming HIPC status, and we'll have the details coming up in this edition of the news.
Business Live today.
Welcome once again to the bulletin. My name is Daryl Carl. The economy is not completely immune from HIPC, or a highly indebted poor country status. That's a verdict of Professor Peter Quartey in the wake of the country's high debt levels. The debt to GDP ratio of the country is currently higher than 70%, putting Ghana at risk of assuming a HIPC status. These were highlighted at the inaugural lecture by the economics professor at the Great Hall of the University of Ghana. The national debt of about 122 billion Ghana cedis constitutes more than 70% of GDP, making the country a high debt distress one. Economists say if managers of the economy don't control the appetite for borrowing, Ghana will be classified as a HIPC country once again from its current status as middle-income economy. Speaking at his inaugural lecture at the University of Ghana, head of the economics department, Professor Quartey, explained Ghana is not out of the woods yet.
In the case of debt service to total expenditure, it is even above the pre-HIPC level. The bane of Ghana's economy is not the lack of resources, but the lack of judicious use of resources or getting value for money. Ghana has poor debt performance compared to its counterparts, Kenya, Uganda, Nigeria. Therefore, we are in a comfortable lead. And we are cruising to HIPC levels. I call for a clear commitment by government to reduce the debt ratio from its present level to 60% or below in the next 4 years. In fact, I call on civil society. Any attempt to increase the debt threshold is inhuman. We must stand against this. It is inhuman.
Given suggestions on how best government could use bonds to address the debt situation, Professor Quartey noted it would have been prudent to spread the risk of the recently issued $2.25 billion bond to several investors rather than dealing with a single investor.
Lower interest and longer term loans used to repay expensive and short term facilities should be encouraged. And in fact, that leads me to the recent local bonds that were issued with all its controversies and what have you. I don't want to delve into that, but I would have wished to see in this bond that it was diversified. If you have just one optaker, if that person decides to upload, there could be capital flight. It can affect your local economy. I have no reason to question the process, but I would have wished to see that we had more than one institution buying rather than a single institution having about 95% of the bond.
The lecture under the topic, Development Financing in Africa, is Ghana on the path to HIPC, was focused on the debt levels of Ghana and some sub-Saharan African nations. Ghana should have another thermal power plant by December this year to augment the supply of, or to meet the country's energy needs in the face of growing demand for electricity. Officials say the 400 megawatt power plant to be fueled with LPG will be the biggest of its kind in the world. Now, President Akufo-Addo says the interests of the country will be paramount in negotiating power purchase agreements with the private sector. He added the country is mindful of the challenges it endured during the recent energy crisis and has committed itself to ensure the crisis will not recur.
For the past 5 years, our experiences with power supply have been traumatic. All aspects of our lives have been affected. The economy has been damaged, businesses have been destroyed, individual and family lives have been put under severe stress, and our self-confidence has been dented. Yes, in true Ghanaian style, we have tried to make light of a deadly serious and depressing situation with jokes. But we all know that this is not an experience when we want to continue an extra day. I am certain all Ghanaians are agreed that never again should we allow ourselves to get into a similar situation. As your president, I know that the problem of power supply is at the top of the list of problems that must be solved. I'm here this afternoon because this project is consistent with our vision to make our country self-sufficient in electricity for industrial and domestic use, to drive the socio-economic development of our country.
Joining us on the line now to explore the necessity of embarking on more energy generational projects for the country is energy expert Kwame Jantua. Thanks for your time. Now, the president had earlier in his State of the Nation address and on other platforms indicated the resolve of government to depart from thermal generation to other renewable sources. What is your view on this current development?
Hello, good evening, and good evening to your listeners. For me, I think it's a good thing. We need a critical mix in terms of our energy supply. But, you know, one thing is emerging, and the thing that is emerging is that we have a very ambitious president, and he's bent on making sure that he sticks to his promise of making sure that we are industrialized and Ghanaians don't pay too much for electricity. Now, I think he's very much aware of his one district, one factory, and one village, one dam project that would need a lot of power. He's also very much aware that the power we have must be cost-effective, efficient, and sustainable. If you know what we have right now, all the generation plants we have right now, apart from Akosombo and maybe the Tikos, is emergency. They're all emergency. And so what he's trying to do is to make sure that he gets sustainable power that would lead us into the type of industrialization and the type of comfortability that Ghanaians require for business and the private sector and everybody to be happy. This is, and it is touted as the biggest LPG fire-powered plant in the world. The good thing about it is that it's also a combined cycle. Combined cycle means that it operates on LPG, it operates on natural gas, and it operates on diesel. So anytime there is a flux with either of these modes of power generation in terms of the fuel, it could be substituted. Again, there's also steam with this particular project. You know, it's going to be in 2 stages. Stage 1, with the gas turbine, a purpose-built in steam turbine is in there. And then stage 2. Stage 1 will give us 200 megawatts of power. Stage 2 would also give us 200 megawatts of power. So for me, all in all, so far as we can consume the electricity and we can export that electricity to earn foreign exchange, to invest back into the power sector in terms of maintenance, I think it's a good thing. We need to be sure, and I don't want to hear down the line, 4 years from now, we took $1 billion and so much problems with that money. So I hope they can monitor it well.
What would you say to arguments that we generate a lot of power and so we should rather concentrate on distribution?
Well, it's all part and parcel of it, isn't it? Without power, you can't distribute. So we need enough power to be able to distribute so that everybody in Ghana, everybody in the smallest hamlet in Ghana would have electricity. You see, one thing electricity does, it helps stop the rural-urban migration. It's a huge factor. If you have electricity in the deepest corner in Ghana, the people there will try and also generate their own kinds of business, and they wouldn't have to come to the urban area. So it's a good thing, and it's a good mix because the president is also looking at solar power, he's looking at wind power, he's even talking about wave power, and so it's a good thing. If he can achieve it, then it will be a good thing for Ghana in terms of our power generation. We have just come out of Dumso. We all know what Dumso has done to this country. And I think he's trying as much as possible for us not to go back there, because if we go back there, it's going to be a huge tragedy for us. So for me, the financing of it is the most important thing. That the monies we take to finance this thing, we can account for it. And we don't come back and say, this person chopped this money, it wasn't used for this, it wasn't used for that. And so transparency and accountability is key in this project.
Well, I'm going to pick your thoughts once again on the power generation and distribution, because then again, we've heard that we've got enough power generation, and it's with the distribution that we have challenges. Why don't we concentrate efforts towards that?
Well, that is what the ECG MCC Compact is trying to do. Yes, there are certain challenges with it that some of us with government are trying to sort out in terms of ECG's actual position with this whole compact thing. And the major problem there is with being able to collect the monies that the people have used electricity for. So the retail side is the key side, and it is being concentrated on through the MCC thing. So for me, the way I see it, it's a holistic thing which should come out to the benefit of Ghanaians. That is the most important. And one thing the president said that I liked was the new tariff policy he's bringing out, because that tariff would affect the ordinary Ghanaian. It will affect everybody. So if you can get a tariff that everybody can afford, then all these illegal connections and all the things the people are doing would have to stop. But we have to put in monitoring, we have to supervise, and we have to make sure that we clear all these illegal connections that have happened from Kwame Nkrumah's time. I hope we'll be able to start that so that we have a sane electricity distribution system. And
all
businesses on, private sector can go on. People will not be afraid to get home and their lights are off.
Okay, thanks very much for your time. That was energy expert Kwame Janto. We'll have more on the energy issues, something happening at the Tema Port would want to update you about. But I want to brief you on this story first. Now, the U.S. ambassador to Ghana, Robert Jackson, has lauded the latest clampdown on illegal mining by government as well as a campaign by the media. He says the scale of distraction to the environment and the pollution of the country's water bodies requires that the battle against the illicit trade is sustained. Ambassador Robert Porter Jackson was speaking to correspondent Nestor Kafui Ajuma at Techiman during a 3-day monitoring visit to the Bonafo region.
U.S. Ambassador Robert Porter Jackson was in the Bonafo region to learn at first hand the progress of work on the various projects being supported and financed by the American government through U.S. aid. He noted that the Bonafo region needed to tap into several other potentials available aside illegal mining.
I think Brangahafo shows what can be done. There are plenty of opportunities besides illegal mining, and I want to highlight some of those opportunities. But I also want to understand the challenges, the environmental challenges, why people are turning to Galamsey, why people are deforesting areas, and to leave here with a better sense of what the opportunities are. U.S. aid's investments, whether in midwifery or agriculture or health, can only have an impact if we understand the environment.
He pledged the American government will continue to help Ghana to stop mining in water bodies.
We have been doing for some time and will continue to do is monitor water quality. So we have projects in Ghana to monitor both air and water quality, on water quality, and through our water quality improvement efforts, we are trying to help get a handle on this problem.
Ambassador Robert Porter Jackson visited Holy Family Nursing and Midwifery Training College at Techiman to observe students perform manual removal of the placenta on training models. This is one of the 27 USAID-supported skills labs that enabled nursing and midwifery students gain hands-on experience before becoming medical practitioners. The next port of call was Sahel Grains near Techiman, where the ambassador was taken through all 10 production stages of the maize and cassava processing factory. Sahel Grains is benefiting from USAID's 3-year $1.9 million public-private partnership to provide an end-to-end farm-to-fork model with multiple market linkages for smallholder farmers in the Branafu region.
I think it's important as a taxpayer and as the U.S. ambassador here for me to be sure that our investments are making a difference and what we might adjust going forward. But I also feel that this is a voyage of discovery, that if I understand this part of Ghana better, we can tailor our programs to have more impact.
Nesta Kafuya Jomes report.
We want to take you to the Tema port now, where the operations of the fuel smuggling syndicate have cost the country about 850 million Ghana cedis so far. This is by way of tax evasion by the syndicate, which uses vessels which berth at the harbor under the guise of dislodging dirty oil but discharge diesel or petrol directly into fuel tankers parked at the shore. Now, a high-powered government team led by Deputy Finance Minister Kweku Kwarteng and the Chief Executive of the authority, Alhassan Tampuli, uncovered this yesterday following reports by the Association of Oil Marketing Companies as far back as mid-last year. Mr. Tampuli says investigations have begun into the issue due to the far-reaching implications for the downstream petroleum sector and the economy as a whole. We are lucky to have him on the line with us tonight. I'm wondering, sir, how you were able to uncover the operations of this syndicate.
Yeah,
hello, Mr. Tampuli.
Hello.
Yes, thanks for your time on Business Live.
Okay. Okay. All right, hello.
Yes, sir. Thanks for your time on Business Live. Hope you can hear me now.
Problem. Yeah.
All right. So I wanted you to enlighten us about this syndicate and how you uncovered the operations.
Yeah, so this is not something that would be out in the public domain so easily. I mean, it takes some effort or a tip-off for the authorities to get to know some of these things. And sometimes it takes a bit of research. One of the things that we found out was that there was some dwindling volumes in the sales of the oil marketing companies. The volumes had dropped significantly. We are very clear in our minds that the output in the country, the total volume that comes into the country, has increased. And so we are not sure exactly what happens to the volume that comes into the country. And so we set about trying to verify what exactly is the case. The information that came to us was that there was some amount of smuggling of petroleum products in the country via an authorized entry point. And when I say an authorized entry point, I'm talking about the fishing harbor, the main harbor, and the Tema dry dock. Now, those are not approved places for discharging petroleum products. We have 3 approved places, which the ABB, All Boy Best. We have the Tema Oil Jetty, the Takoradi Oil Jetty. Those are the places approved for the discharge of petroleum products. So it came to our attention that some petroleum products are being discharged directly from the vessel into the the BRV, those are the trucks, the bulk road vehicles, and those are not approved.
Okay, so I just also wanted to know how the perpetrators evade taxes and if there are any estimates to it.
Yes, so when you bring in products like that, naturally, these are not ones that pass through the system, so you don't get to pay taxes. You know, the price build-up petroleum products includes taxes and levies and margins. If you go out and sell without the approval of MCA, you'll be doing so without paying the approved taxes and levies, and then the lawful margin. So that means that you'll be selling it for far less than the market price, which naturally will distort the market. Apart from the fact that you will deprive the state of taxes, you also distort the market because those who are doing genuine business will not be able to compete with you. And if they are, and they are in the majority, I must add that they're in the majority. If care is not taken, you end up having those people joining these bad ones if they can't compete with them. Now, the cumulative effect of all of this is that if they are not able to compete in terms of volume and all that, then you may have a situation where they have to either cut down on their operations and naturally they will be reducing the number of staff, and that has significant impact on the economy.
Thanks very much, Alhassan Tampuli there. He's the CEO of the National Petroleum Authority. Thanks for the update, and I'm sure we'll have some more discussions in the days to come. Now, questions have always been raised about how oil revenues have been used since the country started petroleum exports. Now, records show that the country has bagged over 3 billion Ghana cedis from oil since production began. The annual budget funding account has 4 priority areas, including capacity building, but according to the Public Interest Accountability Committee's report for 2015, only 3.25% of the total revenue allocated to capacity building was directly invested in the oil and gas industry. Prince Apia has been exploring how best the revenues could be utilized and filed this report for our special Friday feature.
According to the Public Integrated and Accountability Committee report for 2015, only 3.25% of the total revenue allocated to capacity building from 2011 to 2015 went directly into the oil and gas industry. Out of 274.97 million cedis accrued between the same period, only 750,000 Ghana cedis was used as counter-funding scholarships for some students from KNUST. The over 90% rest was spent on consumables, supply of teaching and learning materials to basic and secondary schools, feeding and capitation grant, BC and SHS subsidy for 2015 examinations. So what do industry players think about this? Dr. Steve Mantiao is coordinator for Integrated Social Development Center, ISODEC.
Except for the first year, 2011, we have not used oil revenue to build technical capacity, to build capacity specifically for the oil and gas industry. We even took 2 million Ghana cedis of oil money and gave it to the Musicians Association of Ghana, Musica, in the name of capacity building.
Mobile show organized by managers of the Junction Mall at Nongua in collaboration with the Multimedia Group Limited. Consumers have an opportunity to satisfy their automobile choices during the weekend. The 3-day event seeks to bring together prospective buyers and dealers of automobile brands for the best deal. Ebenezer Asari Amankwa is the Junction Mall.
We've seen that vehicles are no more luxuries. They are necessities of life, especially in the city in Accra. So we thought it wise that it would be necessary for us to put this together and to afford our customers and shoppers the opportunity to acquire vehicles without hassle. And that is why we put this show together. And Junction Mall being the mall with the widest variety of offerings, we thought that it would be good to have this as well. Occasionally we are going to do this so that our customers getting other things that you normally not get in a mall, like a vehicle, wide range from classic cars to exotic cars. We are having SUVs, sedans, your dream car. here. I don't. It will be here, and that is the essence of the event, is to give us all the experience of cars that we've seen in movies, we've seen in the news. It's going to be here, right here at the Junction Mall.
Asaria Manko explains the economic benefits the fair will bring to dealers and lovers of automobile brands.
The essence of programs like this is to highlight and promote your brand. In some places here, some are able to make sales right at the event. That's good. But look at after the event, after sales. Yes, because people will come here, look at your brand, make a decision, and come back and buy. The added advantage of partaking in this event is that the Junction Mall has one of the highest footfalls. Lots of people visit here during the weekdays and the weekends. So anyone who is part of this event has that enormous advantage, because anyone who is visiting the mall is going to have an opportunity to see your brand and access your brand. You never know. And in marketing or in business, getting a lot of people to know about your product is the best. It's one of the best things you can do for yourself. The good thing we are doing with this event is that it's not just the ordinary auto show, where it's just a show, cars are there, come have a look at it. No, we are running lots of events along. On Friday night, for instance, we are doing a fashion show under an auto show. What a classic thing to have. The Saturday, we are doing a live band. We love our live band. So the live band will be here. All your lovely renditions of music will be played. Then you can have some good fun. How much the day will be played for you live here. On the Sunday, it's a fun day. We are doing test drive of the vehicles and have food bazaar to go with it.
The show is open to both vehicle owners and potential car buyers.
Business Live today.
And that's our show tonight. Thanks for watching. We are back next week.